Hello, and welcome to your 10 at 10. Today's September 7th, 2023. And today I want to talk a little bit about expectations. It's super important and it's incredibly relevant in our world today, right? Expectations, they set the stage for whether you get business or not, whether people refer you or recommend you or not. They set the stage for so many different things, and they're really important. But first, I want to tell you a story. Now, you've heard this analogy before, but it's such a good one, and it's so relevant because just last night, right, we celebrated our day one dinner, right? We went to one of the nicest places, maybe the nicest place in all of West Michigan for dinner. And it was fun. It was cool. I think everybody enjoyed themselves. And I just want to talk a little bit about this, right? So we're talking about going to a steak place, right? And the food, it was really good. Was it the best steak I've ever had? Nope. But it was really, really good, right? I'm going to say two reallys because that's important, right? Really, really good. The service, right? Now the service was interesting, right? I'm gonna go with a split here, right? So the presentation, how they presented all of the stuff, like the linen tablecloths, the linen, napkins, the silverware. Like, I don't know how to use all those silverware, but they coached us up, right? They had plates coming and going and this, that, and the other thing. The appetizers were delicious. All of that stuff. Presentation, right? Like when it was time for dinner, they had 8 people come out and they made sure all of the plates sat down in front of us at exactly the same time. It was quite the show, right? So that was really good. Now, we have to weigh that, right, with price, right? I knew it was going to be a really expensive bill, and they didn't disappoint us there either because it was super expensive. Now, when we're spending the most money we've ever spent on any dinner ever, right, we probably expect more than we've ever gotten anywhere else, right? So, like, if I was at Brands and they did that, whoa, that's crazy. I didn't expect that. That's way over the top, right? But when it's the most expensive meal you've ever had, like, that's the expectation. You expect the service to be the best that it's ever been. You expect the food to be the best that it's ever been. You expect everything to come out when you need it, right? And I'll be honest with you, like we were there for 20 minutes, like 6 of us sitting at the table for 20 minutes before our drinks came. Now, if I was at Brands and I was like, just having beers at Brands, yeah, that's probably what I expect. But the very nicest, most expensive place, I expected more than that. And I think that's a reasonable expectation. Like once or twice throughout the meal, like our server was always right around us, buzzing around, like taking plates, putting silverware out, asking us if we wanted anything, needed anything, filling water glasses and stuff like that. But I know there were a couple occasions where, an empty cocktail glass or an empty beer glass was there for like over 5 minutes. And she was buzzing around. And it wasn't the fact that it was empty, it was the fact that it wasn't, a new one wasn't brought out. So was it the best service that I've ever had? I don't think it met our expectations. The food, it was really, really good. It didn't disappoint, but it wasn't the best that I've ever had, right? So anyhow, going into it, my expectations were up here and they only came to about here, right? And yeah. So now again, if it was like Brands or the price of Brands or I don't know, a different place and not the very best place, like they would have exceeded all of those expectations because my expectation level would have been set for far less than what it was. But when it's at the top of the price point, like that's a different deal. My expectations are up there. It's very difficult for them to exceed them. But compared to everything else, heck yeah, it was a great meal. It's great times, great service. It was great everything, right? compared to this. But when the expectations are higher, we definitely expect more. And our clients do that too, right? Like the the threshold in our industry is so incredibly low. Like they expect brands, and I guess I'm picking on brands, but they are a value option, right? Like you expect this, you get this, right? Sometimes you get a little bit more than you expect for the price, right? In our industry, when we list a house, like it's pretty much the same price. Like we might charge a little bit more, but most of us don't, right? Like it's the price is the same. Like they say they pay roughly the same. Our clients, well, any seller, right, that hires a realtor pretty much pays the same price. And if we can exceed their expectations, makes us look great, right? So it gets us business, it gets us referrals and recommendations, and it helps to grow our business. So I'm going to give you a real world example of what the heck I'm talking about. Okay. So I've been on hundreds of listing appointments, right? And one of my favorite questions to ask if I know they've talked to another realtor is, oh, no kidding. What did that realtor have to say? And like they'll tell me, oh yeah, they said the house was worth this much. Okay, well, did they leave you anything? Did they do a market analysis for you? And it's my favorite question because it's amazing the crap that I see that's out there, right? Some realtors show up with the listing sheet off the MLS printed in black and white. Honest to God, I've seen it. It's awesome. Sometimes while they're there, they'll cross out the price and they'll just like handwrite a price in ink pen. I've seen it. It's awesome. It makes us look good, right? That's what people expect. Sometimes I've gone and they've showed me an automated one line CMA right out of the MLS. And it's hilarious. They didn't even go and pick and choose houses. They just printed off the 50 or 100 closest to them and let the computer come up with a price. Honest God, I've seen it. In fact, one of the top realtors in my market, I saw one that he did, and that's what it was. And I think it's hilarious, right? Sometimes I've seen charts and graphs in color, and I've asked the people, did they explain what that means? Well, no. Did you ask? No, not really. And sometimes it has charts and graphs out of the MLS, and sometimes it'll have properties listed on there, and like that's the bar, right? In some cases, that's better than brands, right? I always pick up brands. Now, if you show up with any of that stuff and fly by the seat of your pants, I've done that on occasion. There's no lie. But that do you always do those realtors get the business when they do that? They're kind of half-assing it right up front. Now, if you give them a full color, thick report, right, and explain a whole bunch of things to them, right? There's some color charts and graphs in there. Explain the different ways to sell. Show comps, show pictures and information about the homes you're actually using to compare theirs to. Explain what the value is for them and their home and how you came up with that number, and explain what the next steps will be. And when the very last page says thank you and it's a soft close, would you like to see the contract, or would you like more time to think about it, right? So you can just put a staple in this and be way better than everybody else out there, right? Or you could get, one of these doohickeys, right? Like you could, hole punch the side, you could put it in here, bind it, you could put it in, I don't have a 3-ring binder, right? And again, that's better than almost everybody else out there. Here at Next Home, we have a couple of different things. We have a Unibind machine. This isn't just like a plastic sleeve that you stick on here. You can actually put your report in here, put it in, and have it heat glue bonded and give them a really nice report with a cover on it, full color. That's pretty good too. But honestly, if you put that report in a hard bound book, right? And it says Next Home on it, and the very first page is a picture of their home or their address with their names on it. Like, I can't think of an instance where I've given somebody a book and not gotten the business. This is setting expectations, right? I know that what we do for our service level is way above everybody else's. There's no doubt. The way we market homes, the tools that we have to market them, the advertising, marketing, and stuff we do, like, one of the biggest hurdles we have in our industry is explaining what sets ourselves apart, right? We can talk about pictures and video and stuff like that and social media marketing, but in their minds, in our consumers' minds, they see that all as the same. They truly believe that every realtor does that, even though when they go on Zillow or realtor.com or any real estate website, they see pictures with agents with a cell phone, in the mirrors, right? They know, like, that's out there, but they have that feeling like, oh, it couldn't happen to me. Oh, I go to church with so and so. They would never do that, right? But I'll tell you what, when you show up with a hardbound book, you're getting the business. They realize at that point something's different here. Their expectations are higher. And guess what? You do a better job, their expectations should be higher. So, anyhow, I guess that's my rant for the day. But I believe the better you can set people's expectations so they realize that you're offering more than the other agent, the better off you're going to be. The better you look, the better off you're going to be. The more business you're going to have, the more referrals you're going to have, the more recommendations you're going to have, the more business you're going to have. So anyhow, hope you have a great day. Do your best to make today awesome.